September 21st, 2015. I am going on a trip to Dallas. With a curious heart and an open mind, I was visiting a continent I have never been before, a country with fascinating cultures, a state with enthusiasm, a city where this adventure began. "14 students from 7 different schools. We were on the way together to discover a new place. It all started here at Highland Park High School. As students, it was the most interesting to see the differences in a high school. From the hallways, classrooms, to the library and the sports fields, we were amazed. The other thing we were amazed by was the prep rally, which is held once a week. Students in Taiwan gather up every week, but to listen to important announcements. On the other hand, prep rally has all kinds of performances, which is fun and exciting. Downtown Dallas, our first field trip. We walked a lot, took the dart, and then kept walking. Finally, we arrived at the Perrault Museum. It was cool to actually see science. From astrology to dinosaurs. Then comes the Museum of Art of Dallas, a really artistic place indeed. Our lunch was very American. We ate from food trucks by a park. There were various kinds of food, but I eventually chose pizza with fries. State fair. It was nothing like what I have ever seen before. We even had to go through security to get into the fair. People say Big Tex is the most important figure of the state, and he changes outfits every year. There were sure lots of fried foods, too many kinds to name. We also didn't miss the games, the stands, and of course, the rides. This was the last trip before we came home. The stadiums were massive, beyond descriptions. They were actually the places where important sport events were held. Fascinating. Then comes the place I loved the most, Fort Worth. Everything there was old and historical. The cows and cowboys were the cherry on top. What was also fun was the presentation at the middle school. We really enjoyed telling the kids about Taiwan, and they were eager to know everything. The sixth graders were so lovely and friendly. "14 days had passed so quickly. I still remember not knowing what to expect right before the trip. I am really thankful for my host family, the Palais. From the very first day we arrived, when I was so tired and anxious, they treated me just like family. Their welcoming heart made me feel like home. And all the food, burgers, bacons, fried goods, butter, ribs, steak, gosh. I couldn't even answer which food I liked the most when my host mom asked me before I left. School was also so different there in the States. To be honest, I envy their school system. I wish we could end school early and attend sports team, choose levels of classes we take, or have a different schedule than everyone else. Students there are more independent because of them needing to go to different classrooms for every class, and at the same time have different classmates for every period. Keeping themselves in order is really important. The after-school activities were also fascinating. Everyone has different interests, therefore, they can join different school teams. I have watched the volleyball team practice, and I was so amazed, hoping that we could have more time in practice back home. I think the lives of high school students there in America are more interesting than ours. But at the same time, we learn much more things in school than them. This exchange program really made me think more about these differences. I will never forget Highland Park High School. I lived the lives of typical American high school students. And for just a moment, I thought that I was one of them. As for the field trips we had there, they were also amazing. We totally experienced American culture by visiting the football stadium and a baseball field. They were massive, but the place I liked the most was Fort Worth. I loved the old town with history. All the houses and cowboys were like those in old movies. It was so great to see those with my own eyes. Oh, and the state fair. I still remember trying so hard to imagine how it would be like, since everyone told us it was something we shouldn't miss. Besides learning new things, I also enjoyed sharing the culture of Taiwan with the students there. Their participation made my day. The part I loved the most was us singing our national anthem. Back home, I used to feel embarrassed and awkward for some reason, and not willing to sing it. But when I was right there in front of the kids, I sang loudly because I was proud being Taiwanese. It might seem impossible for a trip to make any changes to people. However, this trip to Dallas opened up my mind. I learned to accept all differences, show respect to a foreign culture, and to be fearless to express myself. But most importantly, we were introduced to a foreign culture, and at the same time, we as well showed ours. That was a one-of-a-lifetime experience. There were 14 students joining this project. I was there with the best of the best from each school. This project brought us together. I find something in common in all of us. That's passion. We all have passion in learning and sharing, and we sure enjoyed this trip. We were not sure whether we will be back or not. The only thing we know is that we will never forget those 14 days. We were there in Dallas, Texas.